bias media. This is what I call it, bias media and unfair attacks on Vladimir Putin. The Independent, 21 hours ago. Voices, this war will not end in Ukraine. Putin's appetite for control is huge. Now, what they're forgetting to tell you is the reason why Ukraine has been attacked by Russia. I disagree with war. 100% I do not agree with war. You may see my videos on my channel and think I agree with war, and I agree with attacking Ukraine. But in my opinion, Russia had no other choice. You're forgetting Vladimir Putin's a very intelligent man. And this war goes way beyond just what you're seeing in the actual attack of Ukraine. There are events which has led up to this attack on Ukraine. And it's to do with power and money. And this power and money is to do with NATO and the US and their influence on another country and culture. Their interference in Ukraine and former Eastern Bloc country. I truly believe that Putin has been quite generous in allowing former Soviet bloc countries to join NATO. But he said that the Ukraine was the final red line and warned and said that they cannot join NATO. He does not wish them to join NATO due to security concerns for Russia. And I'll tell you what those security concerns is. You must remember that Russia, America and NATO have been arch rivals for years in what is known as the Cold War, with thousands of nuclear warheads pointing at each other, and each involved in what we call the nuclear arms race. Just one mistake, one bomb goes off, and it's the end of mankind. Once that threshold has been crossed, where one missile has been fired off, the world is gone. And with the advent of and development of superior technology and weapons which can travel very quickly to their target, like the hypersonic weapons, it's no wonder Russia are frightened of NATO moving forwards on their doorstep. Now you can imagine, Ukraine has weapons given to them by NATO. Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, they've all joined NATO. They've got weapons pointing towards Russia. So it's still like a Cold War, and it's like NATO moving closer to Russia. So what happens with Vladimir Putin? He did not want a war. You can see the grimace on his face as the war's happening now. He seems very hurt by his actions, but has had no other choice. Just imagine this, okay? In the UK, we had Brexit. We felt that our country was being controlled by Europe. So we voted, well, let me rephrase it. We had a choice to vote democratically to eradicate Europe from our system. And we won with a vote, but very close. Russia offered dialogue and a diplomatic solution, but they never had no choice. There was no vote because Ukraine is its own independent state, a former country of the Soviet Union. But where the complications arise is to do with the security interests of Russia. This is serious stuff, and Ukraine is a vital part of Russia's part history, which Russia let go with no problem. But when you have the NATO, Russia's arch rival enemy, backed by the US, sitting right on Russia's doorstep, what the hell you expect Russia to do? I want you to forget the media and all these lies they're feeding people. The media is the most dangerous thing there is. They're backed by huge companies and they fool people. And you watch this news and you hear people slating Vladimir Putin and say the war's horrible. But of course the war's horrible. But you've got to look at behind the scenes and at what really is horrible, what they're doing behind the scenes. You have to also look at the wars America has caused around the world, and the UK. Iraq war, very illegal. Weapons of mass destruction. You must remember those famous words Tony Blair used, weapons of mass destruction. Where's all the condemnation? When that war happened, it wasn't as bad as how they slated Vladimir Putin. And he had a just cause. The only thing is, the Ukrainians will pay. And they are paying dearly. Also Russians are paying, because Russians have been hit with huge sanctions, which are not going to only affect Russia, they're going to affect the whole world. We had a beautiful country, Russia, with huge gas supply to us all. Human beings, we're all the same, just different cultures, but we can't bloody get on with each other. What a shame. I just believe AI will move in, AI in the future, and AI will just clear up this mess of a human catastrophe, because we are messing this planet up, and we are now sitting on the verge of a nuclear war. The nuclear war caused by the UK and caused by America and NATO. This is my opinion. If anyone can tell me otherwise and educate me on what I am not understanding, I'm welcome to it. But what I'm seeing now and what I've seen for a long time happening is happening right now in Ukraine. And I knew this was going to happen. There was offered a diplomatic solution by Vladimir Putin. He put the solution to him and he told him, he expressed his concern about NATO moving closer. The UK, America and NATO, and also Ukraine itself, the new leader, did not give a damn. It's the way they responded to him. They didn't give a damn. So Vladimir Putin is attacking Ukraine, and I believe he will take Ukraine, and I'm afraid this is my opinion. I think he should take Ukraine and control Ukraine. And the reason for that is so they don't get the American weapons, nuclear weapons, installed in Ukraine, or have NATO join them, because you don't want NATO to go further. Because what's going to cause? It's going to cause an imbalance in the world's power. When you have an imbalance, we have one person feeling insecure, like how you have North Korea. They feel very insecure, and they're developing their nuclear weapons and testing it. Even though their people are starving, they will not be crushed by America, UK or NATO. So you cause this fear and insecurity of other countries, and what they do, they will just attack you. So what NATO has been doing is poking the Russian bear for years. For years, since the breakup of all the Soviet states, NATO moving in slowly. So when you think about this news and people like the Independent attacking Putin, just think about what Russia's been through, the hardship. The amount of people they've lost during the Second World War, 26 million. So look at that. Another thing you got to look at is our own country. How our government let so many thousands of us die from COVID by not warning us sooner. So more people died in the UK from COVID than anyone who's died in the Ukraine right now. We died by a government who was incompetent and not able to protect us from this COVID vaccine, COVID disease. So many of us died. So whenever you see a news bias, just take it with a pinch of salt. But I do pray that this war ends. And I'm praying for the Ukrainian people. I'm sorry I've got my opinion on it. I'm not Ukrainian, and so obviously I'm not your culture. But I do know what's happening in your country is very unfair to Russia by NATO, joining NATO. Why do you need to join in NATO? Why NATO? NATO is quite aggressive in my opinion. They cause problems with wars and instability around the world. NATO is not needed. Peace is needed. Please do comment on my video and give me your opinion. And like I said, educate me on what I don't know. Because as far as I'm concerned, what I know is that we, the West, are unfair to Russia. A fantastic country. A country that could be shared power with the whole world. We should share economic currency with Ukraine. The ruble should be part of the currency in the world, not one currency dominating everything like the dollar. You should have everyone having fair trade around the whole world, and this is what it's all about: fair trade. And this is what the war's all about: money and power. So we are now sitting on the verge of a nuclear war. We are sitting and ticking towards a nuclear war. It only takes for NATO to make one mistake, and the UK has made one big mistake. They sent troops into Ukraine, and they're already in Ukraine. And this, you hear Vladimir Putin said, if anyone interferes, then you will see something, experience something like the likes you've never experienced in life before. And you can imagine what that is, a nuclear war. Because we've backed them into a corner. We've backed Russia right into a corner for years. And like I said, Putin, he didn't just attack and plan to attack Ukraine just like this. He sat there and he thought about it in deep thought. I mean, really thinking about it. He also thought of the consequences and knew of the sanctions and knew that a possibility it could lead to a Third World War. But Russia is prepared for a Third World War if we attack him. Because we keep attacking him. We're moving forward. We're in his garden. Like I said, we had Europe in our garden. So we voted Brexit. We won Brexit. But Russia hasn't got the opportunity to vote Ukraine in a referendum or anything, because Ukraine is its own independent state, but a former part of the Soviet Union. But they do pose a security threat to Russia with NATO, and this is the problem. I don't know why these politicians can't see that. They're just praying Putin, saying he's an evil person like Hitler, and that's an insult to Vladimir Putin. Because after all, the Russians lost 26 million people to the Germans. So you need people with great depth to run governments. Putin has got great depth, but the people who run the West hasn't got great depth and thought. And they care for other sovereignty. As if that was the case, we would not be interfering with Ukraine. We would not be moving NATO so close to Russian borders. We would not be putting weapons there. So you've got to think about that first.
A special thank you from the heart